I'm Kamerie Gibson. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, the podcast. I believe that one of the most precious gifts you can share with someone is your story. Pain has purpose and stories can change lives. Your journey to become more inspired and transformed by the lives of those around us starts now. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, where we talk about transforming our pain into power. And today I have a special longtime guest, longtime friend with me here today. And his name is Golden, y'all. Golden, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience for us, please?
Hello. And I apologize about my voice. I'm getting over some, basically, I lost my voice due to singing too much. But yeah, I go by Golden. It's my last name. It's not like a secrecy thing. My first name's Gabe, but yeah, it's just easier for people to know. Me as Golden. I love languages. I love learning languages, and as well, I like connecting people and helping people get to their passions.
So you said you like languages. So what about languages was a thing of interest for you?
I I feel like it's like a of course it's like a gateway to like a whole nother world, but it's a gateway like just between people. Like it's that barrier, and I love being able to figure out how to open that gate and like meet somebody and learn something about them or their culture. And I guess that's just how I've been with languages. It's just been like, oh, that person speaks another language. Let me go try to learn what that is, and then I go learn it and also like practice it and like I make a new friend. So yeah.
Learn a new language, make a new friend. Possibly build a bridge as well. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It builds a bridge to um I mean, not just me person, but like you learn so much more about somebody else's like food. Food's a big motivation for me. Like the best way to learn about another person's culture is their food. Not just like literally about them, but like how the words are used and such like that. So I always tell people, if you're trying to practice, like knowing another language, go to their places and eat. Um, Hear people talk around food, talk about food, um, and you're gonna get to know that culture a lot more.
Ooh, great pointer for those, including myself. You know, I'm multicultural. I'm African American and Mexican American, and I still have to this day have not taken Spanish. You know, and I know it's possible. My mother knows it. People around me know it. I'm gonna learn it. And with this interview, like I gotta get on it. I'm gonna start with that food too. But could you tell me what was your experience like learning your first language?
Yeah, so um, I actually was forced to take Spanish in middle school, um, and I the thing I remember about it is I didn't like it. Not that I had any problem with Spanish, but it was more like I felt all the lessons kept being so repetitive, and I had to do it like every year and into high school. So um, I know that I almost don't even count it as my first language, um, because I mean I knew it, but it's hard to explain. Um, it wasn't my first choice in my like language to learn kind of thing. When I got to high school, I could hold on. I was able to choose between three languages to learn, either Spanish, French, or German. And I did some summer school testing out some of the classes, and I remember not liking how French felt in my mouth, because it was like very like a lot of vowels, and like it was really hard. And I was like, I'm not doing Spanish again. And I was like, well, German's like a lot like English, from what I was learning. And so I took 3 years of German in high school. Um, and I think that's where I would say that the journey really started, because that was more of a choice for myself of learning German. Um, whether I was like going to middle school and they're like, you're going to be learning Spanish now. Like, okay, I don't want to get yelled at home. So,
So where are you from? What was it like growing up there?
um, I'm from Sacramento, California. A lot of people will kind of say the same thing about their hometowns, like Sacramento. It's a very safe place to grow up, but it's really boring growing up there. Um, like now, like Sacramento has very affordable homes, so I know a lot of people that are like now that are like we're adults, are either they live there and they bought a house there, or they left, went to a new place, and then like bought a home in Sacramento and like kind of living there now because it's like relatively safe. I wouldn't say it's all safe. I grew up in South Sac, which is like I guess you could say it's the hood of Sacramento. Um, and like I didn't really get to play outside because it wasn't safe. My parents were like, when we're not home, you're not going outside. I have a brother. I have two sisters and a brother. Um, and we mostly spent all of our time inside making up games and stuff inside. Do like a radio show, kind of like with a karaoke machine and like microphones and stuff like that. Um, but my parents, my dad was owning a business that actually helped people finance houses, basically. And he started it with one of his best friends. And after that, we kind of got like a little bit more money, and parents moved us to a nicer location, which is a town called Folsom, which is like it's like a 30-minute difference, but still in like the Sacramento County. Um, and it was like totally different. Like you like walk around outside, like people left their like garage doors open and stuff like that. Like it's like no bars on any windows. It was just different. So it felt like I got to already see two worlds at that point, and maybe that was a driving force, like being so used to like being able to switch to a different type of speaking or communication. Um, and yeah, that was basically I didn't switch like schools during the whole time. Like when I moved to Folsom, that was actually right around 9/11. 2001. I was like in like fifth or sixth grade. Um, and then I moved there when I was in sixth grade to Folsom, but I still went to the same school. It was a K through eighth school, and then I went to high school, and I basically most of my family except for my eldest sister all went to the same middle school and like um high school. Yeah.
Would you say you had a pretty like close family, traditional values, or what was it like there for you in that
Uh,
sense?
yeah, I think I would say very, I guess, traditional. Um, it was, yeah, I don't know how else I'd put it. Like, yeah, just same old, same old. Like, yeah, like as like me brother and sister spot, but it was like not like we're like really like ever estranged or anything like that. Like, parents, they were parents. I don't know.
I feel you. I feel you. What did you get into while you were in high school?
In high school, actually, it's a funny story. Like, you know, I say like I picked German as a different language. I wouldn't say at that point I was really like deep into languages. Um, actually, I did want to learn Japanese, but they didn't offer it. Um, I um, I kind of my brother. We were talking about astrology earlier. He's a Leo, so he's always been like the leader. Like, um, and he's the type of person that um, he could like he could pick up a soccer ball like one day, and then the next day he could like win the World Cup. Kind of like that type of. He's like always been very good to pick up stuff, and so um, I just kind of I didn't really have a passion or like anything I really wanted to do. Um, but I always just kind of did what him or my sister did because they were older and like my sister is 3 years apart. My brother is 4 years apart from me, and so like it was like kind of like the safe bet to do what they did. Um, we all ran track. We all did basketball. We did like tons of sports. We were like really good at them. Um, and yeah, I just kind of floated through high school for the first 3 years, just kind of doing whatever until I kind of realized I didn't have any. Like I was at a very it's a retreat that's supposed to strengthen your relationship with God, your relationship with others, and a relationship with yourself. Um, and it's like a student led retreat. So the seniors are the ones who lead the juniors on it, and then like once the juniors go on it, then uh, they can lead it as seniors and stuff like that. Um, I remember at this one point, everybody was going around the room talking about what they're passionate about and what they love to do. Like, I was like, I really thought about it and I was like, I'm not actually passionate about anything. I don't know what I want to do. Um, and I think that's where everything changed is because I had this idea. I was like, I'm going to throw myself in 1,000 different directions and whatever sticks, that's what I'm gonna do. And so I did everything from like ballroom dancing to learning new languages, um, just any kind of opportunity. I said, yeah, sure, and tried it. Because I guess my goal wasn't like if I fail or not. It's oh, if I like this or not, or if I feel that this is a part of me, kind of thing. Calling.
At, do you mind if I say your age?
Yeah, go for it.
At 33 years old now, looking back, how do you feel about that strategy that you made and finding what your purpose or passion was?
Um, I would say in some ways it was dumb, in other ways it was brilliant. Like, definitely doing that got me into um a lot of trouble that I won't speak about. Just don't always just say yes to everything just to find out if it's for you or not. Um, um, but the other, I feel like I know it's not like a race with other people your age. I feel like I've come out on top a little bit versus like some other people my age. Like, um, I've been ballroom dancing since high school, And so it like if I go to an event that requires ballroom dancing, of course I can ballroom dance. Um, or like yesterday, or not yesterday, but like last week, I was at a bar and people like were just kind of broke out into dancing. And so one person was looking for a dance partner, like does anybody know like waltz or salsa? And I was like, yeah, I know both of those things. And we were like one of two groups of people out on the dance floor. It was us and then like some very older people. So I kind of found it funny. It was like, I mean, like their skills, yeah, they don't like necessarily like gain me anything of like money or monetary gain or anything, but they are things that I can just like pull out and use. I have this like bag of tricks kind of thing. Um and I'm happy with that part of the strategy. Um so if I were to like revise that strategy, I would put more like yes, throw myself still into like 1,000 different directions, but also think my way through before I like immediately say yes to something. I guess that would be the only thing I would change.
I appreciate that. That's real. That's honest. And I wanted you to expand on that because some people do think that way, you know? Some people think the way that your brother or your sister may have thought in order to find what their passion was. So, it doesn't have to be all good or all bad. It's what works for you at the end of the day. Because being able to do waltz or ballroom just socially, like that is a skill because you're able to have certain groups or access to certain friendships and people and circles just because you know this thing that you tried out, that stuck. So that's pretty dope. I know people. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and like again, off of what you're saying, it you're opening, yeah, you're opening your world to so many things you never knew, and being able to open your world itself is like a confidence builder, and you're like even like when I go around, I'm not like doing anything special to like have people say this to me, but I'll have people like sit next to me and they're like, you're like I would use the word aura, but like they won't use the word aura, but like there's something about you, you're just very calm and you're very like it's not timid, you're just like very I mean, like you know yourself very well. And like yeah, it's just because I've built up that if it was any almost any given situation I could find my way around.
I like it. Full of tools. Add into your toolkit. My daddy used to always say that. You got it. You got all these tools. Now you can add it to your toolkit, Kamerie. I'm like, all right now. He had cancer too, like I told you. His best friend, my godfather, was a Leo too. So that Leo cancer combo I know is pretty frequent and it's pretty special as well. It's a certain like affection, affinity like y'all have for each other. Like it's like y'all both are like powerful in your own right. But yeah, I noticed that in my own experience. But just to give the audience context on how me and Golden know each other, I actually met Golden on a trip in 2016. It was my sophomore year, I believe, of college. We both attended San Jose State University in California. It's in Northern California for people who don't know where San Jose is at. But can you tell me about what got you to Israel? And
Yeah. So um hmm, I had been working with that group, the Hallel. For those who don't know, Hallel is a it's like a Jewish slash Israeli like community center is the best way I can put it, where people of that of those cultures can go and like find people and like almost like a place to grow um in their like culture or identity, but also a place for other people to come learn about that culture and identity. um and I had this is already in like my later years of like I like learning about different cultures and stuff like that. And this is my say yes to everything. And a member of he's now a board member, I think. His name is Eric Metrios. But I was on a cross panel because I was in another group. It was called uh, I don't remember what the group was called, but basically it was like a let's learn about different. Let's have this space to learn about different religions, and it was just a multi like just a place where you could. At that time, I considered myself Christian and not as much anymore, but I was. We had a panel to help people ask us all questions about like any different questions they've ever had about any of the religions that were represented, and they're like, "Hey, Gabe, can you represent Christianity?" I was like, "I mean, sure, it's a lot of pressure, but sure." Um, so I during that panel, Eric was speaking about Judaism, and I was like, I never actually learned anything about Judaism before. And like after I was like, hey, where can I learn more and stuff? Like I don't want to be Jewish, but I always want to learn more. And he told me about the Hallel, and like the thing that brought me is like, yeah, at every event they always have food. And I was like, oh really? Like starving college student. And so I went there. They also like have studies where you can like learn oh my gosh, I forgot the language. Oh my god, language.
Is it
Uh
Hebrew?
huh?
Is it Hebrew or no?
Hebrew, yes. I was like, why am I forgetting and blanking? Like too much around. So that's where I started to learn some Hebrew. Probably my weakest language. I just know some words at this point and the writing system. But I've been going there for a long time. Fast forward to like when I met you, um, and I've been part of. I always join clubs and like as in a form of leadership in another club, and they said, "Hey, we're looking for leaders of different clubs to go on a trip to Israel because there's been a lot of misinformation that goes around. I know people in America like to talk without knowing exactly what they're talking about, and so it was a chance for us to go on a all expense paid trip to Israel for 10 days. And they were like, hey, just have to go through an interview process and whatever. And um, the idea was that we go over there, learn for ourselves, meet a bunch of different cultures over there. And then, like, that way we go back to like people or like groups and like we can be like a source of knowledge to spread and help awareness of like battling misinformation. It wasn't like a trip to like make everybody like, oh yeah, love Israel. Like yeah, there's nothing wrong there. It's more of like, oh yeah, this is my experience because I've been there and I met people there, and yeah, I like that was a big eye opening trip for me. Honestly, that like I thought I was gonna be marched around, but people were just telling me like, oh, how great Israel is, but like what I got from it was just of how much of a like how much that area has been through and like what they're going through like is it's not easy at all like as well people try to come up with solutions to what's going on over there and it's not as simple as people try to make it.
I agree. I know what initially drew me to the organization Hillel, the Jewish community. When I was in 11th grade in high school, I had written an essay to attend this trip with the organization ADL, Anti Defamation League, and their headquarters office, I believe, is in Beverly Hills. So a few months leading up to my trip to DC, which is where their Holocaust Museum is at, like once a week after school, my dad would drive me to Beverly Hills from South Central, and we would have these meetings to learn about defamation, bigotry, racism, hatred, and stuff like that, just to prepare us for when we went on that trip. So I remember that same year I applied to go to Israel with San Jose State, ADL had offered an opportunity to go to Israel as well. And in my essay, this is where I kind of learned like a little bit about politics and like what to say, what's wrong, what's not wrong. I didn't know everything that was going on, right, with Palestine and um, Israel. So in my essay to ADL, my position, from what I know now, went against what ADL was for, which was technically pro-Israel, it seemed like, right? My essay, because of what I was learning at San Jose State's campus, was the opposite of that. And then for my essay, I felt more connected to the opposite side. You know, this is my 19-year-old self. So I ended up getting denied for that essay, right? It was like a hell no, you're not going with us. I didn't realize what that was and where I messed up at until later. So with the Hello organization, I got in, whatever. It wasn't that deep. Excuse me. I remember when we landed, though, back in San Jose, there was that article that came out, right? It was about how the trip was paid for by this tycoon or this casino tycoon or something, and it was all propaganda. The trips were all propaganda because they had other organizations, like I think it was called Birthright. Or I don't want to
Yeah,
misquote. Right?
that's a different
Right?
one. Yeah,
They
the
also go
one
to Israel.
that's mainly if you have like Jewish or Israeli identity. It's a chance to go and see it, um, stuff like that, and learn about the Jewish and Israeli culture over there. But I think it's a lot more of it's a lot easier to get on that trip. I don't think they had the freedom that we had during our trip, though.
Know that. Okay, that's interesting. So San Jose State was a unique experience for sure. It opened my eyes to different people's cultures, politics, and whatnot. But after like leaving that trip, as an African American, Mexican American person, I did have to think to myself like, am I overstepping my boundaries? Is this not my place to meddle in other people's politics and other people's, cultural differences? I know my cultures have their own issues, their own problems to solve with Mexico, with America, with African American people and reparations and whatnot. Who am I to speak, on other things? Did you ever feel like that when you were like in these different spaces? Like, I'm an outsider or it's not my place?
Yeah, yeah. I always like even before going on the trip, I always felt like that was like my stance on it. Is like when I talk to people, I'm like, I mean, like I don't think it's as easy as we think it is. I had ideas of what I thought would be solutions, but I was like, I don't know. Like, I know if somebody like tried to come up to me, um, was not like not was not black and tried to tell me, oh yeah, this is how you solve like a problem between black and white people, and like not that be like no, it's not that easy. Like it would be like the same thing for me for them. So I was like, I wouldn't speak on it. Um, but even going over there, um, I think that was the thing of just learning how complicated it is, and it's like it's not just um, Israelis as people would see in their heads as Israelis and Palestinians. We met like a group of Ethiopians over there. There's like a whole Ethiopian culture. There's like um, the other people that like are usually around Haifa. Like there's like so many pieces to the puzzle. It's not just like two pieces that you're like, oh, you just connect the pieces. There you go. It's not that easy. Um, and yeah, like that was a big eye opener to me. Is that they're not doing this to make you love Israel, which of course, I mean, like they love that for that to be the outcome, but it was more of like this is so that we can learn what is going, or not learn what it is, but like see how much is going on there for ourselves. And it's not just somebody like telling us how it is.
Right. Being in media, I definitely learned. I can definitely understand the importance of having to be there for yourself to see what's going on. You know, it is multi-dimensional.
Yeah, because something I noticed is like before going on the trip, like every time someone tried to make me like for a certain side, they'd be very emotional. They try to like tap into the emotion side of it. Like, oh, look how terrible this thing happened. Blah blah, people are dying. Like, instead of like a more, I don't say even like logical. It seems too cold. Like a little mix of both. Because like, yeah, emotions are easy to tug, and I don't feel like that should ever be a reason why you make a decision
Right.
on that grand of a scale.
Hmm. Do business with your mind, not your heart, all the time. You need both for sure. Um, I know when I met you though, I believe you were 28 years old. I think not 28. You had to be a little. No, not 28 because you're 33. It was about
7 years. Yeah,
You're 26. How are you?
yeah,
Are you 27?
yeah, yep. I can do math. 27. Wait, no, 26. Yeah, 26.
That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
26 now. I'm 26 now, and that's crazy. And I was like, but
Yeah.
I remember that just because I was like, okay, that's unique. So, did you start off with community college? Did you start off doing something else? Did it take you a longer while to graduate?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I technically haven't graduated yet. Um, that's been this whole thing with San Jose State. Um, I think that was like 2011 or 2010. I was at the time I didn't have a car, and I was using a bus to get back and forth from my like job and school, and I didn't quite sit down on the bus before it took off, and then the bus kind of jerked, and I hit my head on like you hold on to the pole, like hit my head on it, and gave me a concussion. I didn't know at the time. I actually went to San Jose State's doctor, and like because I found I couldn't focus in class, and like had him check me out. He said, "No, you're fine." It wasn't until later that night that like I was like screaming in pain, like I couldn't sleep. I got taken to the hospital. Like my dad had been staying over, um, and he took me to the hospital, and they did an MRI, which an MRI while you have a concussion is like the worst thing because it's like a bunch of noises, and they're like, "Don't move," and you're like, okay. Um, but not only they confirmed I had a concussion, but also they found I had like um I had a basically a growth on my pituitary gland. Pituitary gland like sits on a bone behind your basically behind your eyes, below the brainish, and that gland controls a bunch of your uh, stress hormones and such. And that growth was like on there; it had already been on there, but the concussion caused it to leak, and so I had to I basically had to get surgery during what was essentially like my finals. Um, and so you think, okay, doctors know it's fine. Because like I failed like some of my classes then, and they're like, nope, not good enough. Um, and they kind of put me through a program where they're like, oh, instead of like doctors know it being okay and you can go back to school as normal, we're gonna let you go through a system called Open University, which it's normally for like adults going back to school, that aren't really seeking a degree, but just like finish classes. But you get like no help from the school. You pay more. You have to pay like all of it right away. One chunk, you can't get financial aid or anything like that. Can't use any of the like school's facilities. Like I know San Jose State did a lot of like they were just giving food every month to students. You just had to show your ID. Like Open University students couldn't participate in that, so it was a really difficult way to do school. Um, and like I tried to do that and work, and it was just so hard that I like didn't quite get through my classes fast enough. And also, every time I went to an advisor and they tell me a different story of what I need to do, I'd go do it, and then they're like, "Oh, actually, one more thing." So at this point, um, I actually have one more class to get my bachelor's, but I'm gonna do that in the spring. I also am one class away from getting my AA because I have so many credits that I just have to do classes in residency. So I'm going to be doing that this fall. Um, so I think one thing I learned is there were good and bads about not doing community college first. Because one, the good thing about not doing it was I met so many people while staying at the dorms at San Jose State, and like people like lifelong friends. Two of which I was best man in their wedding just recently, like this last year. Both of them I met in the dorms, um, and just I've made so many connections. I have like huge, like one of my friends I share like 777 mutual friends with on Facebook. Um, and I met him at San Jose State. And like we got to know a lot of people in San Jose. Um, yeah, I wouldn't have connections like that if I had done community college first. On the other hand, I wouldn't be struggling as much as I would now because I would have gotten a lot of stuff done. I feel like a lot of times, especially like high schools, or at least my high school I went to was a college preparatory high school, really push on, yeah, just go to 4 year and you get on 4 years and blah, 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 blah. And like, you don't have to rush it. Like, there's like, especially because a lot of the classes are much less expensive book wise, like, and they're still like really good. Like the teachers are still great from community college. You could still gain a lot from that, and I feel that it's not, at least when me growing up, it's not talked about how great community college are for you. Like it's take it or leave. It's like we have one social connections, you get to know people more. Two, you get out faster. Like, so, I mean, that's my whole take on it.
You gave me a lot there. I appreciate that story you shared. I didn't know that was your background story. That's interesting. And you still going and wanting to finish school or just get that education says a lot about you and your thirst and your hunger and your desire to like learn as much as you can while you're here to help yourself climb and ascend however you do, whichever way you do, but to also help other people, in their own way. Okay, so going back to you being the language, what is a linguist? Would that be what you're considered? A link?
Yeah.
Is that it?
So I would say so. A linguist. So linguistics is the study of just language in general. Um, Actually, most linguists don't really know multiple languages. They'll know one language, and they'll know like stuff about other languages. So they might know the Japanese like writing system, but they probably couldn't speak Japanese to you. Like like they could tell you why Spanish has a rolling like the trill R, but they probably couldn't speak Spanish to you. So um, yeah, it's more about language than just more of knowing multiple languages. I'm an outlier in that, and I came in to linguistics late, after I'd already learned a bunch of languages, and but one of the paths of linguist is teaching English as a second language, and I'm sure there's other in other countries it's not just teaching English, other stuff. But I found not a passion for teaching, but a passion for changing the way we learn languages, because I have a problem with like the education system as it is now. Like I feel like we put so much emphasis on like, oh, this person doesn't really know what they're talking about in terms of language wise. If like unless they have this like piece of paper like that, what it really comes down to is that you sat through a bunch of these classes. Like I know some people who sat through the classes, they don't really uh, know what they're talking about. They don't even remember their classes, but they're like, yeah, I did it and I had this piece of paper. And I feel like that versus the learning, like it's called like natural environmental learning. Like I feel is a much better way of learning something than um, being stuck in a chair for like 4 or 5 hours a day. So a lot of my projects for like my board games are meant to make you it not just like learn from like books, but learn from each other. Like my board game, it's called Word Chef. It it's like a combination of Family Feud and Hell's Kitchen, because that's a food theme. And the idea is basically you're trying to guess the synonyms of certain words, and it's not just you, but you and your team. So your team can like yell out answers to you, stuff, and whatever you say, those are the ones that count. But you don't have to know all the words yourself. Your team can know more than you and help you out, and you're learning from them, not from some book. And you're going to remember that more, because like it's kind of like that thing of like how like your parents will tell you something, but you won't take it at face value, but your friend will say the same thing, and you're like, oh yeah, like you try to tell your parents, you're like, I just told you that kind of thing. Like you I guess it's from like a non-authority space, you'll take it more. So I feel like that's part of the game is you're learning from each other. And I always push my like whole system is I mean besides the like me literally teaching language, um I'm not trying to teach you language. I'm trying to help you learn the language. And there's a difference between it, because I want my board games to leave you with questions that you will take back to your teachers, so that that last minute of the class where the teacher asks, anybody have any questions, that kind of thing, people will actually raise their hands and actually have questions, because they're like, yeah, like I heard like this was the synonym of this word, like how, like I want them to, that's like an intrinsic type of learning. That's like your inner motivation instead of something outwards motivation. And that's what makes lifelong learners. That's what makes people want to continue, because language, I'm not saying language is easy. It's hard. Not only for like sometimes concepts are strange, but um you it's a continual like kind of a marathon type of thing. You're always going to be learning, and like not everybody want, like at some point people kind of like want to just give up and stop, and like that will, once you stop, like it's not that you can't start up again, but like once you stop, then like you're not learning at that point. And I want to create a way where um I want to create a system where you are always learning, even if you don't think you are learning. My basis for my motto for my company is passion makes progress. So, like, basically, because you're passionate about or like having fun with what you're doing, you're going to be progressing, and that's where the real progress comes from.
All right, Gabe, real quick, can we just list off the languages that you know?
Sure. Um, Normally, actually, funny enough, I make people play a game of this, and like
Yeah.
when they ask me, and like, oh, like how many can they name in a row
Okay.
without messing up?
Okay.
The best someone has done is 8, which
Okay.
is yeah.
Okay.
If you want me to just list them off, I can list them off. Yeah.
Okay.
So English, German, Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian, Hebrew, Polish, but I need to work on it, and Mandarin. Those are the 10. And I'm still trying to learn more. Um, I'm thinking about tackling like Korean next because I've always circled around it, but I think I'm ready for Korean Cantonese, which is another type of Chinese language.
What has been the like the easier language to learn?
German was very I would say the easiest coming from someone who's like English is my first language. Um, though I'd say knowing so knowing one of these languages helps with the other. Um, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, and French. Um, like knowing one of those helps with the others because they're all in the same language family, but when you're starting to learn them, um, they have a lot of words that are very similar, and it's kind of easy to just kind of move over, as well as like um, Japanese to Mandarin. Well, mostly I learned Japanese first and then Mandarin, but I noticed a lot of people who learn Mandarin have an easier time with Japanese because the writing system, at least the more advanced part of the writing system, um, is similar. Um, and so that yeah, that's I'd say that's how like I know you asked which one's the easiest, but that's not how I think about it.
No, yeah, you're like chunking, grouping them all in together. Like what's I like that. That's honest. Okay, I'm gonna say one line in Spanish that I know, and then you can go ahead and say something just to like flex real quick. Let's see if you know what I'm saying in Spanish. Te molesta que me sienta aquí.
Oh, sorry. Make it closer to it. All right. Say it one more time.
Te molesta que me siente aquí.
Molesta siente.
Te molesta que me sienta aquí. I don't know if it's right. I got it off of Duolingo, but it's is it okay? Is it okay if I sit right here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I was like siente. I was like sit down aquí. Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought you said.
No, no, yeah,
Um.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
say
Of course.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
I want to
And
throw it
then
out.
oh my gosh. Okay. This is also a problem with like language. Knowing too many, they kind of bounce around in my head. Um. So I almost said dozo, which is Japanese for like of course, but I say in Spanish. It. I think this is the whole language thing. Everything's going on in my head.
It's okay. Whatever you want to say.
I could also say see, siéntate. And I could say like, yeah, of course, sit down. Um, why can't I? Why can't I think of what of course is?
What are you thinking of right now?
I'm trying to think of like of course in Spanish.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, but oh, you actually brought up. You did bring up Duolingo. Um, that's that is one of okay. So I
I
have like love
know.
and hate relationship about Duolingo. Is um they like touch the surface of what's called gamification of language. It's like turning it into a game. Um, but some places they cross the line a little bit too much. Like they have a English certificate that you could use. If you pass their all their classes, you can basically have a certificate in English, which is accepted at places like I think De Anza and Foothill community colleges here in NorCal. But I find like I've come across some of them because I've been a teacher before, and I've come across those students, and their skills are not up to par of others that have actually gone through the like normal system of getting that certificate. So, and a lot of times, like it gives a false confidence with their lessons because you're like, I've been doing them every day for like a year. Like, I should be able to speak the language. How come I can't? Because I feel like it puts it too much into like small boxes and doesn't actually give you like a kind of a human to human connection using the languages. But I mean, that's all I will say on that. Oh, por supuesto. That's of course in Spanish.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Say something. Say something in any language for us. Just let me hear you.
My favorite is Japanese. Konnichiwa. 私の名前は、ゴールデンゲイブです。アニメが好きと、テレビが好き、I'm trying to make stuff up on the spot. Party more. But I just kind of said it was like, oh, my name is Gabe. I like what did I say? I like TV. I also like to party. Which is not true. I actually don't like to party. I'm that like sit at home, like watch TV type of person. Yeah. I was just trying to come up with words off the side. See, I haven't even actually practiced Japanese for, I want to say, 3 years since I actually took Japanese seriously, and which is a problem because I'm gonna go to Japan in January, so I gotta re-study up. But yeah, like it's not that like once I know the phrase is like if you don't use it you lose it. I don't think it's like necessarily lose. It's just it's stunted, and you have to find those pathways that you used for that language and like start up again. Because once you start up again, then all the races like it comes flooding back.
Right. I like that, and I appreciate you for sharing everything that you've shared today. Your company, your language games. I want to make sure we link that when this video goes up there, so people can know about it and be able to purchase your games.
I can send the link. I will say, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, I'm having like an issue with printing, so I forestalled people buying the game, but there are my worksheets for Japanese. If somebody wants to learn Japanese, I have on my website. It's basically passionfruiteducation.com. I'll send you the link. I have worksheets that have each writing system in Japanese. or two of the three, because the third one complicated. That you easy free to download, and also there are worksheets along with it that you can download and practice writing. Yeah, print out as many as you like. I started my company not to make money. I did it because I want to help. Right? I'm more on the socialist side of capitalism than just a straight capitalist.
I hear you. I respect it, and I still want to share it, and get you whatever you can from it. Moving on, we're gonna wrap this interview up. Gabe, Golden, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. What would you tell the younger you with the knowledge you have now?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly would. I would probably tell him to start earlier learning languages, because I wanted to learn Japanese, or I would say not just for language. I would say start being more confident in yourself earlier about what you want to do, because there's a lot of things that I kind of wanted to do, but it was oh, that's not normal. Like black people don't skateboard, black people don't listen to rock and stuff like that. I held back on learning things because of things that I thought weren't what my people did. But I think that was just yeah, I mean, it was 100% wrong. It's just not. I think that held me back from having more joy in my life.
That's real honest. That's real relatable too for a lot of us. You know, I know for me, it was my class. I felt like my class, economically where I came from, well, we don't do that. It's like we from the hood. It's like, no, girl, you can like classical music, you can like plays, you can like stuff that's considered weird, and it's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay, And I think just in those environments, sometimes our thinking is limited and stagnant, and it's just people just want you to be like them because it makes them feel comfortable, and that's okay. Somebody has to break out and branch out.
And then you go further into that and the bigger world, and you find, hey, people like this stuff. It's weird.
Exactly. You find your people. Some of them look just like you too. You wouldn't even know.
Exactly.
Last question for you though. What does happiness look like for you?
Cool. Yes. Happiness for me is being, can't stop all the doubts in your head, stuff like that are gonna always come for you. I think happiness for me is simple enough where my bills are paid, I am adding something to the world, and I am in a place of peace, I guess you could say. That would be my happiness.